and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars, so you don't have to. From 2010, all the way through to the present day, in the very, very desperate hunt for points. And it is round 9 of 2014. It is the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, our home race, the team's home race, despite the fact they're a Malaysian-registered team. We'll gloss over that. And essentially the halfway point of the season, as you can see the little icon, or if you can see the little icon, you've got the little diamond for home race or crown jewel race, and the little exclamation point, because the team are going to be reviewing our status. I mean, the teammate battle's not going well, but we are ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, and we moved up in the standings after a very, very positive return for Formula One in Austria. We came 11th, just outside the points. I say just, we were way behind Gutierrez, but 11th in terms of just outside the points. And we actually had a really good run of it, holding off the likes of Button, Kvyat, Verne, Sutil. We had a good race, and we pummeled Felipe Massa, who came out the pits. We jumped him, and then he ended up in like 17th. So we absolutely battered a Williams as well. However, still 16th, still 0 points on the board. And let's take a look at those standings before we talk about Silverstone. As I say, P16, but we did jump past Maldonado, Adrian Sutil, and Roman Grosjean in the last round to go from P19, just ahead of our teammate Kobayashi, who remains 20th, with Chilton Bianchi behind him, to jump up to being the second of the 0 point scorers, just behind Jean-Eric Verne. At the top end of things, Lewis Hamilton won, with Rosberg in third to extend his championship lead. He is cruising to a championship at the moment, but Rosberg also way ahead of Sebastian Vettel, so the Constructors is practically sewn up at round 9 as well. Vettel's in third, ahead of Alonso. Ricciardo retired, so slipped to fifth, with Hülkenberg taking sixth after another impressive result, jumping Kimi Räikkönen and Jenson Button. Bottas is ninth, ahead of Magnussen, Perez, Kvyat, Massa, and Gutierrez, the rest of your point scorers in the Constructors' standings. Mercedes, as I say, way, way ahead of the competition, with Red Bull in second, with a little bit of a gap back to Ferrari, who've got a little bit of a gap back to McLaren. Then there's a nice battle between McLaren and Force India for fourth. Williams are in sixth in their own little bubble. Toro Rosso are seventh, just 5 clear of Sauber. We jumped Lotus, so we're ninth in the standings, with only Lotus and Marussia behind us, but only 3 teams yet to score points. And quite frankly, we are the slowest 3 in the field, with possible exception of Sauber, but they lucked into that P10. They got into P10 in Austria. But Britain's next, Silverstone, a circuit that we've driven I think the new layout practically every season. The 2010 one was a little different to what it ended up being, and there have been minor revisions over the years, but this is a circuit much like Austria, much like Canada, Monaco, Spain, Hungary, Belgium, quite a lot of the circuits left of this season that haven't really changed. But that also means that the fact that we're no good at Silverstone now means we're not very good at Silverstone back then. This has not been a happy hunting ground at home so far. We have only got out of Q1 once, and we have never scored points. This is one of a chunk of circuits where we've never scored points. Here, Australia, China, Spain, Monaco, amazingly, Italy, Japan, and Brazil. And then if you include the fact that we've done 2 Texan Grand Prix and 1 Austrian, we haven't scored points in either of them either. But this is one of the ones that has been in since the first season, and we've yet to score points. 23rd, 18th, and 17th. Terrible results, and we've really not qualified anywhere decent either. So this is going to be a really, really tricky one for us, and I feel like it could legitimately be the race where it we fall back down to earth after 3 really good rounds. I did think that after qualifying in Austria, though, and we came home P11. Weather could also play a massive part in this. So I think what we should do is go and see how far off the pace we are in practice. While we do, we'll talk about the real world. 2014 British Grand Prix. Silverstone was the venue for round 9 of the 2014 season, and Nico Rosberg came into this round over a race when clear of his only real rival, Lewis Hamilton. Practice 1 was a disrupted affair with a 15-minute red flag period after Felipe Massa ran wide at Stowe and hit the inside barrier, necessitating a lengthy clear-up. Despite the large repair, the accident was of some benefit to Williams, as the other car had stopped on track after only 4 laps, while in the hands of Susie Wolff, the first woman to partake in an official session since Giovanna Amati in '92. At the top of the times, Mercedes would lead the way as usual, Rosberg ahead of Hamilton, with Alonso in third. The second practice session was one of issues for many, Hamilton ending his session early with an engine failure, Verne stopping as his left front wheel attempted an escape, Ericsson stopping in the old pit lane with an engine failure, and Bottas losing his engine cover down the hangar straight. Despite his issues, Hamilton topped the times ahead of Rosberg and Alonso. Typical British weather hit the track for the final practice session, rain lashing the track and discouraging many from doing any substantial running. That would see Red Bull and Lotus leading the way, Vettel ahead of Ricciardo and Maldonado in third. Qualifying opened in conditions that would only ever catch somebody out, the session beginning damp but rapidly drying until another rain shower threw the field into disarray, with only Caterham of the usual suspects eliminated in Q1. They'd be joined by both Williams and both Ferraris, in somewhat of a shock, elevating both Bianchi and Chilton into Q2. The tricky conditions remained into that Q2 session, drivers starting the session on the Inters before quickly moving to slick tyres as time progressed. There were fewer shocks through this session, however. Both Mauritius were able to out-qualify Gutierrez, Maldonado and Sutil, with Grosjean also joining them in the drop zone. Another rain shower hit the track at the final sector just as Q3 began, meaning that many drivers found their first runs compromised. Drivers found themselves waiting until the end of the session for their second runs as the conditions improved, with some deciding to abandon their times. Hamilton and Rosberg did make it out with seconds to spare, though Hamilton would back off and allow Rosberg past as he felt his lap wouldn't be good enough. That would, however, prove to be a terrible decision, as the final sector would improve drastically, Rosberg ending qualifying on top, some 3.5 seconds clear of Hamilton, who could only manage 6th. Vettel and Button would complete the top 3, with Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Perez, Ricciardo, Kvyat and Verne, the other drivers inside the top 10. The race only lasted around 5 corners before a red flag was flown, leading to an hour of delays to repair damage into the barriers. Raikkonen, who started 18th, attempted to make a fast start, going to the outside at Aintree and ended up on the runoff. As the Finn attempted to make his way back to the track, he hit the grass, spearing his Ferrari off across the track and into the opposite barrier. His car managed to also eliminate Massa, who was unsighted and collected the Ferrari, while Chilton in the Marussia was lucky not to be struck on the head by the Ferrari's wheel. After the repairs were complete, Rosberg ran away at the front after a safety car restart, clearing the DRS gap within a lap. Hamilton would quickly dispatch the 2 McLarens ahead of him to resume normal service at the front for Mercedes. Hamilton would begin to eat into the gap ahead until Rosberg pitted, the Silver Arrows outside of the window to everybody else by the time they made their first pit stops. Rosberg would get a clean stop, whereas Hamilton would lose time in the pits, though he would quickly cut into the deficit once again after he was released. It wouldn't be long until Hamilton was out front on his own now, Rosberg's gearbox first developing a downshift issue, then an upshift issue, before the German parked the car at the side of the road. Hamilton would back off somewhat to spare his W05, with Bottas far enough behind to allow him some breathing room. The Finn had somehow avoided the opening lap carnage and carved his way through the field, but starting on fresh medium tyres, he had to relinquish the position to Vettel when he pit. Vettel had made a poor start and had made an early stop, meaning he only held second briefly, and when he exited the pits, he'd be right in the path of Fernando Alonso. Alonso would tee up the Red Bull through Luffield and swing round the outside at Copse, forcing Vettel to back off. That wouldn't be end of the battle though. The pair trading places for around a dozen laps, Vettel lacking straight line speed, but Alonso suffering from his own power unit gremlins coupled with a rear wing issue. Both drivers found themselves extending the track in their defence and attack, Vettel incensed by Alonso's defensive posture, eventually getting a little off track to set up a move past Alonso at Copse, this time on the inside to eventually clear the Spaniard. At the top end of things, Hamilton would be untroubled in taking the win at home, some 30 seconds clear of Bottas, who himself was 16 seconds clear of Ricciardo, who completed the podium. Button would finish ahead of Vettel, Alonso, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Kvyat and Vergne to complete the top 10. How are we feeling coming into our home race? Silverstone hasn't been particularly positive in this series so far. It's a track that demands a really good car and we've not had one. And also, the AI here, stupidly overpowered, so I'm not feeling massively confident. However, we've had 3 good races on the bounce, even if qualifying hasn't been great, so we need to go for something here. Let's aim for 18th place, aiming not only to beat our closest rivals, but keep the heat on Lotus as well.
You're now in ninth position. Okay, you should be able to get into the next qualifying session easily, so try to get a hot lap in early so we can save the tyres.
And for the second race in a row, engineer Andy having really warped expectations of what we can do in qualifying here in Bristol? What? Here at Great Britain in Silverstone, trying to combine all the words together. And yeah, 3 great races on the bounce mean that they think we're going to get into Q2. We're not. Practice, as you may have seen, we were well off the pace. So it's going to be really tough to see what happens here, but the best thing to do is get out there, get some laps in, see if we can spring a little surprise at home. Let's take to the track. Let's take a look then at our fastest lap round this airfield in Northamptonshire. Already down at the back of the field as we head into the first corner, just flat through there, but the car just doesn't want to stick. It feels just a little bit cumbersome. But as we head into the Aintree Village loop, we are under pressure from a couple of cars behind us, but we're just waiting to get on the throttle through these left-handers. This one, not so bad. We can just keep it flat and get on a DRS as we head down towards the back end of the old circuit. Time is ticking away, but we're nearly half a second up through the first sector, so at least we're doing something right. Onto the old start-finish straight, or the national start-finish straight as it is these days. Little wind there, car trying to break away from us, but we keep it together and we keep the power high as we head down towards Copse. This flat in a more modern car, but we do have to back off a little bit. We do run a touch wide through there, just this car not quite sticking as well as the more modern machinery. Into Maggots, Beckett's and then into Chapel. We're wide on the entry to Chapel, which does compromise us a little bit as we head out onto the Hangar Straight though. We're still looking pretty decent, nearly 7/10 or over 7/10 up on our best time as we head down towards Stowe. DRS open, car absolute maximum attack, and we're waiting to get on the power. We get on as early as we can, as long as early as the car feels comfortable to, as we head into Vale and Abbey the last couple of corners. Again, just all waiting for traction here. The power is on. We go a little early for the final corner, which throws us wide, but we're 8/10 up.
We're way off the pace with that performance. 21st place.
Engineer Andy may be disappointed and we may be out in Q1 once again, but at least we're not last. It's only the 3rd time this season that's happened, and at Silverstone, of all places, we're about 0.2 of a second clear of Max Chilton. Took a little bit of a banzai lap to even get that close, and we're way off the pace of Jules Bianchi and Kamui Kobayashi even further off the pace of Gutierrez and Maldonado, who are also knocked out and way behind Jean-Eric Verne. But qualifying, as we've seen, not really our strong suit. It was 22nd in Austria, and we finished just outside the points. There's also a threat of rain because it's Silverstone. So let's cross to the race and see if weather plays a major role in where we end up. In the garage then for the British Grand Prix of 2014, we start 21st because we managed to beat somebody in qualifying. But if you look ahead, you'll see green tyres on the car. It is going to be an intermediate start, which, I don't know, I think worries me, probably. But let's take a look at the grid order before we start talking a little bit about what we're hoping for here at home. Lewis Hamilton on pole at home, as you'd expect, ahead of Fernando Alonso, Nico Rosberg and Sebastian Vettel. Daniel Ricciardo in 5th, ahead of Raikkonen, Massa, Hülkenberg, Bottas and Perez. And then outside the top 10, Jenson Button, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Kvyat, Adrian Sutil, Jean-Eric Verne, Romain Grosjean. And then those of us knocked out in Q1, Maldonado, Gutierrez, Kobayashi, Bianchi, myself, and Max Chilton, who we finished ahead of. So just the third time that we've managed to out-qualify somebody in a qualifying session this season. And of all places, it's Silverstone. I mean, it's exactly the same position we started in last year, and we had no good time, as I said right at the top of the episode. We haven't scored points at Silverstone once in this series, and I don't really anticipate it changing here. But the last 3 rounds have proven that this car can compete. It's a very different challenge here. A circuit I'm not particularly good at. I have a terrible feeling we're going to come back down to earth with a bump, and we might find ourselves back behind Lotus, or at least back behind one of them, who knows. Objective here is realistically 19th place. I really don't think we've got the pace to do an awful lot more. Staying ahead of Chilton, Bianchi and Kobayashi is about all I think we could be capable of, and we might not even be able to do that. Intermediate start though, 62% chance of rain, so it might dry out as the race progresses. Maybe, just maybe, that will cause some carnage. But we've got to actually go and see if that is the case. Let's head to the grid for the 2014 British Grand Prix. Home hero Hamilton on pole. Ferrari next to him as well. There's Kobayashi. You can see us just behind him. And there's a car behind us. Not good. Makes a change, I guess.
The team's home race. Everyone's desperate for a good result.
Engineer Andy just pleading, really, for a good result as the 5th red light comes on and goes out, and we all just crawl off the line. And we slip to last, as you'd expect. Try not to push Kamui off, which actually compromises us a bit. We lose some spot, or we lose some momentum, as everybody else just gently gets into the village in the loop. It's actually working out for us as well. They're all struggling as well. We're just sort of kind of bullying our way through. We have to take to the grass there, as Bottas just came to a complete halt on the inside. And we're in 11th again, like we were in Austria. Are we going to be able to do anything here to Valtteri Bottas to knock him out of the points? Yes, we are. We're into P10. Much like Canada, just kind of picking empty road, managing to find a way through. Run a little wide through Copse though, and that's going to give Kvyat a run. Where is Kvyat going? He's going to the outside of Maggots and then Beckett's. And we hold him off, but where is Bottas through? That Williams should be so much quicker than us down the Hanger straight. Holding on to 10th even to the end of the first lap could prove difficult. We're going to show him the outside at Stowe. Does actually work. He's going to go for the cutback. Good move by Bottas. Doesn't pull it off though. We're going to end the first lap in P10. At home, as Alonso is the man leading. Hamilton's had a bad start as well. Top 10 all looking fairly together. We've then got a train, or top 9 should I say, and then we've got a train of cars behind us. Well, that's broken up a little bit as well. Everybody's struggling in these conditions. Really, that was really terrible. If or when it dries out, we'll sink like a stone. Really try and... I don't really know what we can do, even in these conditions. Fortunately, no DRS passing going to be available for these guys, because they would, or at least Bottas especially, in the Williams, would just breeze on by. That car is rapid. Even Valtteri Bottas 1.0 was pretty quick as he goes up the inside towards the first corner. We can, however, outbrake him and sweep round the outside. And the AI at their own game.
Our race prediction. Let's try to hang on to this.
Top line are gone. In fact, the leader's on his own. I think that's still Alonso. It might have been Hamilton, actually. There's a little string of cars, and then 8th and 9th, Raikkonen, and one other, maybe 2 others, on their own. So there's a bit of a break in the field already. Fighting the Toro Rosso of Daniel Kvyat as he looks to the outside at Stowe. Easily hold him off there.
We think that Sutil is due to pit soon, probably within the next
switch
couple
back.
of laps.
Somebody was trying to look at the inside. Sutil has lost a spot to Raikkonen. He's in 9th now. So Saber could be on for more points here. Adrian Sutil got a lightning start, obviously. His way through the field, much like we did. Got Force India and a Williams behind us. That's really something. It's going to be incredibly difficult when it comes to pit stops. If they stay out, I don't think we're catching back up to them. As we get wide out of Cops, allows Hulkenberg to pass Kvyat. Button was there as well. They're all just queuing up behind me at the moment. Oh, there's a yellow flag, is there? Oh, I don't know if somebody... Maybe we've been clipped and somebody's gone round, I'm not sure. Button, though, trying to force his way through a gap that's never going to be there. Whoever it was, they got going and not really being cut away from the field.
The rain is expected to stop in around 15 minutes time. 15 minutes.
15 minutes to the end of the rain. We'll definitely need at least one stop. There's Esteban Gutierrez in the Sauber. He's in amongst all this now as well. And we did have something similar in Canada in weather like this.
Minor damage to his front wing. Doesn't look too serious.
I thought that when the pit stops came, we would fall backwards and not be able to regain it. We managed to hold it through the pit stops. Maybe we can be just so lucky here. Here comes Jensen up the hanger straight. Can we outbrake him into Stowe? Well, a little bit of contact. Can we outbrake him into Vale? Yes, we can. I think it's Club, actually. And then we'll sweep round the outside into the next corner and retake our 10th spot. Giving this up without a fight, really, here.
The pit window is open. Box this lap. Sutil is coming into the pit lane. He's entering the pit lane now.
Sutil's in, he's 32 seconds up the road. Daniel Kvyat hounding us.
Don't forget, pit in this lap.
Coming in now. Kvyat is not. Gutierrez isn't. Button, I think, is.
Go now.
Away we go, down to 16th.
Be careful not to drive over the white line.
Down to 21 in this race, though.
Get a penalty.
Who's out, I wonder?
You're on intermediates. Only one stop to go.
We're down to 21 in this race. Sergio Perez that's out. He was in the top 10. So if we can jump that 6 that we've lost, and, well, we're about to pass Perez, so the 5 cars in front of us that have not been in, if we can jump those back, we're going to be up into 9th, I think. I think Perez was in front of Adrian Sutil. We're heading down the hangar straight now. That little cluster of cars heading into the pits, including Kobayashi, Chilton as well. Starting to head out the pits. This is going to be close.
There are quite a few cars in the pits right now. Watch out for cars exiting the pits.
Back into 10th. One person has jumped us. That being Daniel Kvyat. He's into 9th. Just come out of the pits and we're still holding on to a point at the moment. Thanks to Perez's retirement. Next to the outside towards Stowe. Not going to get through that. The outside there. Button to the inside at Cops. Sweet battery in the outside, and now it's Magnussen behind us, so both McLarens now tailing us, which means that one of them will go in first and the other one will stay out. I'm sure Magnussen then would have been in the first batch of cars that went in. Come in at the same time as us. As he gets through, Button's going to look to the inside. We're going to have both of them now. Button has to back off, and we have to just cede the position to Magnussen. And that's dropped us out the top 10 agonisingly as well. Magnussen now surely is going to get away. Much like Canada.
Okay, looks like the weather's going to improve.
We made an error that's cost us.
In 5 minutes' time.
As Button then leans on us as we get a little bit wide. We've made an error that's cost us a potential points position. As we end off Button again and then run wide again.
Be aware, we think the
Nice
car
Button
behind is
through.
trying to save fuel.
There's Maldonado next. So right back at the start. When it dries, when it dries, we will sink like a stone. So, gotta try something here, I think. Yeah, turn one all wrong again.
Okay, we need you to
We
make
have a
way for the
leader
car
behind us,
behind.
Hamilton, caught between Gutierrez and Maldonado.
That's 8 places up from our race prediction. Great
run
job.
wide.
Keep it up.
Hamilton has been blocked by the Sauber.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car
Comes
immediately
Hamilton.
behind through. You're not racing him.
Stay well out wide through Woodcut. Let the Mercedes through. Try and launch him into cops.
You've picked up some marbles. Expect reduced grip until you can wear them off. Stay on the racing line.
Okay, we have a car heading in. I think that's Jenson Button. Or it might be Lewis Hamilton, actually. The call yet is to move to the dry tyres.
The pit crew are ready for you at the end of this lap. Box this lap.
As Bottas just outpaces me there as we ran wide, but we hold the fin off. Everybody else behind, I think, has come in. Hamilton has come back out in amongst us, so he will be lapping us shortly.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Okay, Rosberg now in the lead. And well, at the inside here or not. Come on, Nico. Mercedes through. A little bit of contact. Only a little touch. Hamilton on us as well. Hamilton's still on the intermediate tyres as well as he nudges us. Damages his front wing.
Good job. Back up to speed now.
He's firing up out of his way.
Applies.
Bottas hits the back of us.
We're ready for you. Box in this lap.
I'm going to stay out, I think, until we can switch to dry tyres. Strangely, I think we've lost both Mercedes out of our pit window, so Hulkenberg's in 13th. I know that's just because he's been in the pit lane, the way the pit lane is. Remain P10, P12. Kobayashi behind us. So it looks like everybody behind us has pitted, and they've all fit the intermediate tyres. So we're going to head in the box now, slap the primes on, and hopefully that will take us to the end of this race. Annoyingly, we have fallen out the pit window to Button and Magnussen ahead. So we didn't manage to jump them while they went back to the Inters. Struggling to fend off Kobayashi. We really have to hold him behind us. Else we'll get stuck behind him in the pits, because I think we're both coming in now. I'd assume as well the rest of the field is coming in too.
Okay, prime for your next box.
So telling me it's time. You think that they're all coming in as well. In we come, Kobayashi in as well.
Prime tyres confirmed for next pit stop.
Checking on prime, make sure that we do have the prime tyres.
Okay, prime for your next box.
Looks like Button's been in, I think. There he is, leaving the
Prime
pits.
tyres confirmed for next pit stop.
Making sure for definite we've got prime. Kobayashi had to be held, so that's compromised his race, but it means we hold P12.
The track is clear. Track is clear. You have no more scheduled pit stops, so look after your tyres.
Definitely going to the end on these
Fuel
tyres.
management has been excellent this race. Great job. Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Desperately trying to get out Rosberg's way. Alonso's there as well. Alonso have held up Rosberg a little bit, which then gave Alonso the opportunity to close on him, and I've held up Alonso and trying to keep out their way.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not
Sebastian
racing
Vettel flying past us. He's on the options, so it would suggest that everybody else in the field is running option tyres. Kind of, again, much like the last lap, struggling to let him by. Nico Hülkenberg, that's actually for position. That's what Force India assumed it was a lead car. Force India, much faster than us. We'll start for Hulk, is why he's down here. Lotus behind him as well, Maldonado. They're both going to be looking for a move here. Nudged by Maldonado. Around the outside of Hulk, keeping our 12th. A little wide around the final corner. Through goes Hülkenberg. We've given him a little nudge there. Just as he practically stopped it on the apex of turn 1. We'll send a dive here. Sweep round the outside. Tooth and nail for 12th. And we get DRS as well, which is handy. Only a few laps left, we are a lap down, of course.
The car behind is running on the option tyre, they have the advantage.
About to get lapped by Felipe Massa in the Williams.
You need to let the car behind you past, he's not racing you for position.
We've done a couple of times this race, which is drift it around the very outside of the old start-finish straight. We'll run a little wide. Ricardo will fly past. We've got another one coming. I think that's Raikkonen.
He's trying to close the gap.
It is indeed Kimi Raikkonen. Nico Hülkenberg's behind him. He's trying to move across to stop the German coming through, and Kimi was still there. A bit of contact and wheel banging, but we survive again. To one side, Gutierrez to the other. We've got no pace, and they've both got DRS. We run a little wide, braking late to defend. Once again, hold on to 12th. Right through comps, Maldonado there. Whoa, absolutely chop across him to hold the position. It's Valtteri Bottas that's dropped out of this race. He was behind us, such as how this one's been. We'll move across to the racing line, Hülkenberg's there. Maldonado's trying to go at the inside. Once again, keep Hülkenberg behind us. Few laps after this one. Tooth and nail to hold on to this 12th. Also, that would mean that we're still ahead of both Lotuses, and that's a nice place to be, I guess. Even if we don't end the season with points, if we end up ahead of the black and gold cars, that's something. Much like HRT before, though, it would be a real shame for the team to bow out with a whimper. Obviously with HRT in 2012 we scored a little hatful of points. Maldonado and Hülkenberg once again. I can only defend one of them. I choose Maldonado. Hulk will go through. And I don't think we're catching the Force India now. So down to 13th. Grosjean's through now as well, so I've got both Lotuses behind
Okay,
me.
it looks like the car ahead is trying to create a gap. He's running full revs, maximum power.
Just like the last lap, we've got both Lotuses. This time, Maldonado's through. I don't think we're catching him as we enter the final lap of this one. So we are going to finish behind one of the Lotuses and slip to 14th. I did say when it dried out we'd start sinking. Maybe I made a mistake on the tyres, but it's the final lap of this one. If we just stay ahead of Grosjean, that'd be great. Verne goes through into 15th now, so we've got him behind us. There's a Marussia there as well, I think. A race of two halves, really. We're in the top 10 and holding it as Lewis Hamilton takes victory again this season. But we were holding position in the top 10 through the first phase of stops, and then Magnussen snapped by, and as soon as he snapped by, Button followed suit. Kvyat jumped us at those stops as well. When it did dry out, the punt to say, let's go for the prime tyres, thinking anybody going on the options may not last to the end. I've been proven wrong, as we've got Kevin Magnussen behind us, and fighting him earlier on in the race. Really could use Magnussen going by. Got back off, and that almost allows Verne through, but he crosses me. We make contact. Getting blue flagged again, this time Adrian Sutil. He's going to score some points for Sauber as well. But we'll round the final corner, we'll cross the line, P14. .14th place in the end then. Didn't quite make it to where we were expecting. We'd run for quite a while up in the top 10, and then it just kind of collapsed a little bit as the race went on, and we slipped backwards as the track dried out. So we end P14 outside of the points, but we do finish ahead of Verne, Grosjean, Chilton, Bianchi, Gutierrez and Kobayashi. Bottas and Perez don't manage to finish. Up in the top end of things, though, Lewis Hamilton takes the victory ahead of Nico Rosberg. Fernando Alonso's in third with Sebastian Vettel fourth, and it's Massa, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Magnussen, who we were fighting early on. He managed to jump Adrian Sutil. Daniel Kvyat took 10th. Button was 11th. Hulkenberg and Maldonado snuck past us just at the death there as well. In the drivers, Lewis Hamilton now has a 59-point lead over Nico Rosberg. They are still well clear of Sebastian Vettel, who is yet to break the 100-point barrier. He's just 4 clear of Alonso, who's in 4th. Ricciardo in 5th ahead of Raikkonen by a fairly decent margin. Then it's Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Button, Bottas, Perez, Massa. Kvyat gets his first points of the season. Then it's Sutil and Gutierrez. Verne remains ahead of us in 16th. We slip to 17th because of Sutil's points, but we still remain ahead of Maldonado, Grosjean, Chilton, Bianchi and Kobayashi falls to the bottom. In the Constructors, Mercedes lead by 184 points ahead of Red Bull, who are a little bit ahead of Ferrari. McLaren are in 4th, just 5 clear of Force India, who are 22 clear of Williams, and it's Toro Rosso. Sauber move on to 3 points. We remain 9th ahead of Lotus and Marussia, and while we couldn't quite do the magic thing at home and nick a point, which I thought we might be on to do as the early part of the race progressed, It's still another fairly strong result, P14. It means that we've not been lower than 14th position. Was that 14th or 15th? I've already forgotten. We've not been lower than 15th since Canada, since Monaco. And yeah, I mean, it could have been so much better, but it could have also been so much worse when the track dried out. We were lacking pace, made a bit of the wrong tyre call going on to the prime at the end there, thinking that having the durability would help and everybody else would pit in. It didn't happen, and we didn't manage to out-strategize McLaren to jump back in ahead of them after the rain stopped. But actually an all-right British Grand Prix, surprisingly. We've not had many of them in this series, and maybe that again is a nice little springboard to go forward into 15 and beyond. We keep up our little run of semi-decent results. Next time, though, it is Germany for the German Grand Prix. The last one for a little bit, I think. I think it takes a couple of seasons off in 15 and 16. But we're going back one more time for now. And hopefully we can find a little bit of form there as well. In the meantime, like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all the good stuff, you know the drill by now. Thank you so much for watching this one. I'll see you in Germany. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.